Thank you for watching Lira Scoop. We are glad you are here.
My play was, of course, a lot more elaborate. Many solutions of today, if it were to be applied, the probability, the advice people give Mary, you have a good man, get rid of that child. So, Akena's mind sometimes goes in areas which make some people uncomfortable. But I try to address truth as I see it. Of late, I have been in a battle where I have gone as far, extreme, even where advice says you should stop here, I've taken it further. I have pushed it to the limit. Why? As a racer, when you're in a race, you're there to win. You take no prisoners, you push it as far as your equipment and yourself can go in order to achieve the goal you hope to achieve. In politics, opportunities to aim for the highest office and to be able to do so effectively, or to have a way to register a mark, can come once in a lifetime. And when that opportunity comes, grab it with all means possible. And therefore, I'm taking this time as we reflect at the end of the year on the message of peace and reconciliation which Christ's life from birth to death brings to us. I'm taking this opportunity to extend my apologies to the Congress members who might have felt that I took them for granted, I pushed too far, I did things which did not help the party. I readily apologize and take full responsibility for everything that I have done and what I've tried to do. You see, truth is, I was in a dream. And this dream seemed to be falling in place. More than 3 years ago, I told a meeting of UPC leaders, I am going to seek a path which is going to put UPC in the center of the politics of Uganda, in that we will be able to garner enough votes to make us be at the table, but in a very pivotal way. My understanding and belief was I would be able to get enough votes. And this would cause a situation where, in my mind, we'll have to talk to each other. As Jimmy Akena, I have over the years shown my willingness to talk to political players, even when it was inconvenient. When I first spoke to Joel Museveni and the UPC members, got wind of it, it was not easy in UPC that day. But we pushed on, in the hope that we can forge a Uganda which works for every citizen. Engaged, that has kept me hopeful. Election. A good pathway to get enough votes to be a significant player. So my thinking in my dream was God was preparing a seat for me on the table in front of my enemies. And I was ready to take that seat. I was ready to do anything to retain that seat. And why do I think I was the one qualified to be in that seat? my belief in a Uganda which works for all political players. My belief in a Uganda which recognizes and accepts all different political players. So I can talk to Yoweri Museveni, but Jimmy Akena can also talk to Bobby Wine or Robert Chagulanyi. I thought I was in a position to be a bridge, a mediator, somebody who can talk to all sides and yet still be faithful to their own beliefs, was what I went in for. But I was rudely woken up by somebody saying, who does he think he is? He's behaving as if he's the owner of the country. It forced me to dig back a little bit in history. I'm going to read a few passages from what Milton Obote said on the 9th of October 1960. In his address to the country, the newborn country of Uganda, he says, "Today we stand united as one nation, composed of many peoples, cultures, and traditions, but bound together by a common desire for freedom, progress, dignity, and dignity. Our diversity must never be a source of division. Rather, it must be the foundation of our strength." The task before us is immense. Political independence alone will not satisfy the aspirations of our people. We must now strive for economic independence, for social justice, and for the eradication of ignorance, poverty, and disease. These are real enemies we must defeat. He then goes on to say the government of Uganda is determined to pursue policies that will raise the standard of living of all people without discrimination, not on the basis of tribe, religion, or region. And this is the most important statement. Every Ugandan must feel that this country belongs to them equally, including Jimmy Akena. As a citizen, I have a stake in this country. 1969, the launch of the Commonwealth Charter. The resources of Uganda belong to the people of Uganda, and the state holds them in trust on their behalf. Every Ugandan, regardless of origin, must feel that this country belongs to them equally. As Ugandans, do we feel we own this country? Or there are those who feel they own it on our behalf and they want to exercise that right on our behalf? It is those who I wish to expose. It is those who are taking our country for granted. It is those who are trying to reap where they did not sow. They've turned institutions into gain things, self-aggrandizement, enrichment. Where are the people of Uganda in all this equation? As a congressman, mind the people. Everything we do is for the people. I really hope that this election will give us that opportunity. But you wake up with those who, sorry to say, will really turn this country upside down. At a time when I feel we should be able to talk to each other. An election is not a be-all or end-all. But to get to this point, hence I'm apologizing to my party members. I have burnt many bridges. I have pushed beyond where it was safe. But I do this out of a love for Uganda. If I don't speak, who will speak? Who will share these truths? Who will reach out across the aisle? Who can say we're all Ugandans? End of the day, we must live in Uganda. I am 29, I'm 58 years old. 29 years of my life I've been in exile. Despite all these years I've spent here, 29 years of my life I have been a refugee. We must find a way of moving forward. I have no intention of going anywhere. I'm ready to press for my truth and apologize for where I have gone overboard. But I love this country. I'll do anything for this country. Even if it means you lose everything, I'm ready. Because what is this country if it is shredded? What is this country if those who are responsible do not care for what happens to the people of Uganda? I've tried to distinguish myself as somebody who has tried to reach out. I've read the manifestos. I read the manifestos. They're open, they're public documents.
So my point of saying that it is not, let me leave that.
Before Chagulanyi visited me, I visited Chagulanyi. Like as far as IPOD is concerned, I was pushing. When in Parliament they started trying to bring conditionalities on IPOD, I'm the one who resisted on the floor of Parliament. For me, as long as you have representatives in Parliament, you have set the threshold. The people of Uganda have given trust to that political party which has got members on the floor of Parliament. We must treat them as colleagues. That was my thinking in IPOD. On the floor of Parliament, I clashed because they tried to make the thing us versus them, us versus them. On a round table discussion, when you bring us and them, you've killed the round table. That is why in the last 4 years, what has IPOD been able to do? And right now you find people talk about, have I taken the matter to IPOD? IPOD was there because we made it. We believed in it. We invested ourselves in it. That this is an organization where leaders can discuss. And in this term, as far as I'm concerned for IPOD, I wanted to bring the question of interest rates. The IPOD set up under the chairmanship, I'll have at least two council meetings and one summit. I wanted to bring the issue of interest rates for us to discuss at a leadership level. And since IPOD involves the institution of the state, they are able to implement it thereafter. Why did I bring something like interest rates? Because interest rates do not know whether you're UPC, you're NUP, you're NRM, you're what. Interest rates, they don't know you. It hurts everybody equally. So this is something which we can tackle where it's not supposed to, oh no, it's UPC, is what. This is something which affects the people of Uganda. So as Jimmy Akena, anything affects the people of Uganda, I am always on board. But we didn't have the opportunity. IPOD has been crippled by some of these players which I'm talking about. These players do not love Uganda. They're out for themselves. And I'd rather deal with somebody who's ideologically grounded, whether I agree with their ideology or not. Uganda. So whatever tools available to me, I use them. My members, I still have our issues, the UPC issues. How are these, at this current circumstance, how are these, like our senior citizens, how are they going to vote? Do I take my mother who is 89? If tear gas starts coming, how is she supposed to move? And yet this conversation is a conversation which every citizen of Uganda, as I read what of us collectively, we own Uganda. All of us collectively. No individual group. Not NRM on their own, not government on its own, the people of Uganda collectively. This is our country. And let nobody tell you, who do you think you are? This is not your country. No, this is all our country. And how this country succeeds or fails, it depends on us. And more so, those in leadership. Those who have opportunity to make a difference. Those who God has entrusted to be able to act on behalf of others. In leadership, you act as a steward. The issue of ownership even reduces because now you're taking care of this for these people, but for future generations. I've read the manifestos. I read the manifestos. They're open. They're public documents.
So my point of saying that it is not. Let me leave that.
Before Chagulanyi visited me, I visited Chagulanyi. Like as far as IPOD is concerned, I was pushing. When in Parliament they started trying to bring conditionalities on IPOD, I'm the one who resisted on the floor of Parliament. For me, as long as you have representatives in Parliament, you have set the threshold. The people of Uganda have given trust to that political party which has got members on the floor of Parliament. We must treat them as colleagues. That was my thinking in IPOD. On the floor of Parliament, I clashed because they tried to make the thing us versus them, us versus them. On a round table discussion, when you bring us and them, you've killed the round table. That is why in the last 4 years, what has IPOD been able to do? And right now you find people talk about, have I taken the matter to IPOD? IPOD was there because we made it. We believed in it. We invested ourselves in it. That this is an organization where leaders can discuss. And in this term, as far as I'm concerned for IPOD, I wanted to bring the question of interest rates. The IPOD set up under the chairmanship, I'll have at least two council meetings and one summit. I wanted to bring the issue of interest rates for us to discuss at a leadership level. And since IPOD involves the institution of the state, they are able to implement it thereafter. Why did I bring something like interest rates? Because interest rates do not know whether you're UPC, you're NUP, you're NRM, you're what. Interest rates, they don't know you. It hurts everybody equally. So this is something which we can tackle where it's not supposed to, oh no, it's UPC, it's what. This is something which affects the people of Uganda. So as Jimmy Akena, anything affects the people of Uganda, I am always on board. But we didn't have the opportunity. IPOD has been crippled by some of these players which I'm talking about. These players do not love Uganda. They're out for themselves. And I'd rather deal with somebody who's ideologically grounded, whether I agree with their ideology or not. Uganda. So whatever tools available to me, I use them. My members, I still have our issues, the UPC issues. Discuss them. How are these, at this current circumstance, how are these, like our senior citizens, how are they going to vote? Do I take my mother who is 89? If tear gas starts coming, how is she supposed to move? And yet this conversation is a conversation which every citizen of Uganda, as I read, what of us collectively, we own Uganda. All of us collectively. No individual group. Not NRM on their own, Not government on its own, the people of Uganda collectively. This is our country. And let nobody tell you, who do you think you are? This is not your country. No, this is all our country. And how this country succeeds or fails, it depends on us. And more so, those in leadership. Those who have opportunity to make a difference. Those who God has entrusted to be able to act on behalf of others. In leadership, you act as a steward. The issue of ownership even reduces, because now you're taking care of this for these people, but for future generations.
Thank you for watching Lira Scoop. We are glad you are here.